Hey there, I'm Pastor Brian, and it's time for Questions from Kids. Daniel from Wilmington, North Carolina asks,
Does it matter how often I go to church? Will God be mad at me if I'd rather stay home?
Daniel, thank you for asking that question because I think you're not the only one who asks that. You know, today's Bible story really gives us some insight to how we can answer that question, though. Because today we saw that Solomon's heart was not completely devoted to God, and that got him in great trouble. Over time, he just gradually abandoned God. He walked away from God, stopped worshiping God with all of his heart, and that's why God disciplined him. And here's what matters. Here's what we have to see. God was upset because Solomon's heart was not right. Solomon had walked away from God in his heart, which caused him to walk away in his actions. And so your question, does God care that we go to church every week? What happens if I don't want to go? Well, here's the thing. I need to take that into two parts. The first one is, does God care if I go every week? God is not keeping some cosmic scoreboard. He's not keeping track of every time you're there and for how long and so forth. It's not about that. But that second part of the question, I think, is where we have to camp out. That I would ask you, why don't you want to gather together with the church? Why don't you want to go and worship God? That's what God cares about. You see, because if we love God, if we are grateful for what He's done for us, then we should want to gather together with other believers and worship Him on a regular basis, understanding there are times that we can't make it to church. There may be times where we're sick, there may be times where we're traveling or so forth. But in general, our heart posture should be one of wanting to be part of God's church, worshiping with other people who love God like we do. So here's a question for you. How can you show your love for God this week?